Pediatric and Adult Rehab Center welcomes you all to the Learning Disability Workshop. This is the fourth event organized by Anshu Center, headed by Dr. Mona. We will be coming up with more such events on every Saturday. So do check our Facebook and Instagram page. As still the pandemic situation is going on, I would like to take this opportunity to tell each parent that online therapy is the best solution we have at present. I'm happy to share with you the glimpses of our online session. May I have the video, please?
Hello everyone. The online session for my child has been very effective. Thank you, Mona ma'am and Anshu Center.
My daughter is studying in 4th standard with ICSC board. During my interaction, I have realized that she has mild attention disorder. I have took an opinion of 2 to 3 psychologists and they advised me occupational therapy. I have taken her to Andheri West and consulted occupational therapists but not convinced. Later my wife found out Anshu via Google and we consulted Dr. Mona Shah. After consultation, immediately lockdown started and we could not continue classes at her clinic. However, we immediately started online classes 5 days in a week and interacted many expert therapists of Anshu like Manisha Miss, Radhika Miss, Nishita and Dhara Miss. Friends, within 2 months, I have realized remarkable improvement in my daughter. She developed confidence and her attention towards work has improved. I would like to express our gratitude to Anshu, especially Dr. Mona, Dr. Manisha and entire team of Anshu. We wish Anshu team to continue good work for society and contribute for nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, I would like to appreciate therapists, parents, and children effort to make online session a great success. Our workshop is divided into three segments. In first segment, Dr. Mona Shah will brief us how to how teachers can help the children in the classroom. In second segment, Dr. Mihir Parikh will let us know about learning disability and how well it can be understood. In third segment, we will be having question and answer round. If you have any question or answers, please drop them in the chat box given below. They will be answered in the end. Now moving on to our workforce segment, I would like to introduce Dr. Mona Shah. She is occupational therapist and clinical psychologist by profession, head of department and brain behind Anshu Center. She has been working in this field for more than 30 years and is associated with many social organizations. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Nishita, and good evening, everyone. Welcome you all in such large, huge number. Friends, by now, you all are very clear about sensory processing disorder and different types of sensory systems and how they interact. In our few events, last events, we have covered it very well. If anybody has missed it, they can go on YouTube and check it out. Today, now, let's move forward and how sensory processing difficulties affect kids in school. We are going to discuss that. Friends, sensory processing issues are not only a learning problem, but it's a very problematic, and can make it hard for children to succeed at school. Take a moment, since we have lot of parents a lot of parents as well as teachers. You can think of any behavior which is you feel is not comfortable with your child. When any child is not comfortable, it becomes a really big challenge even for teachers to manage them. For broader aspect, we divide them in overly sensitive and undersensitive. Let me give you an example of some overly sensitive kids which responds easily to a very single sensory stimuli and can find it very overwhelming. They may be unable to tolerate bright light or a loud music playing in the next room or outside in the next building of the school. They might feel difficult to wear a tight hugging swimming suit, or will not comfortable with finger painting when teacher will ask them. They may be fearful on swings. Teachers, take a moment, think of any of such child if you have seen such kind of behavior, or you can recollect very behavior. You can start putting it on the chat box and I can read that. You can see any child which you feel was not behaving as per your expectation. This is what happens when any child is overly sensitive. There is a category of a child with undersensitive. Undersensitive kids always want to seek more stimulation. They may constantly want to feel someone. Maybe that touch is not socially acceptable. Let me share you my screen. When we are talking about underly sensitive kids, you will find them very fidgety. They may be not be able to sit still in your classroom. You will find them messy and they always want to play around with things with the constant touch of something. They'll be keep jumping. They don't want to sit and listen to your any of the advice. They crave for fast spinning and intense movement. Some of these behaviors may display as negative behaviors or maybe shows like symptoms of ADHD. Teachers, now you all are convinced that if you can recollect any of such behavior, there could be a sensory processing disturbance in that particular child. Let me tell you, there is no medication to treat sensory processing issues, but there are therapies and practical changes you can make at school and at home to help your child feel comfortable. I'm sure you all can see this pyramid on your screen. What we expect our second standard child to behave in a school. Teachers share sometimes some concerns that your child is not performing as per our expectation. A second standard child should be expected with all academic skills. What do you expect with them? You want teacher as a teacher, you feel they should be able to read, write, they should be able to answer your question, should be listening, whatever you're saying, should be comprehending, not more than anything, even a story, should be able to composition should be good, they should be able to form sentences. As you can see in this pyramid, it is when any child is ready for school is a complex motor skills, their regulation of attention and their behavior has to be as per everyone as expected. It's the level 4. Any child to be ready at level 4, you need to start at level 1. And as you can see, at the base of the pyramid, at level 1, there is a primary sensory system which we have discussed. If any child is not comfortable with any of their sensory system, if it's working in more than any normal child, like a oversensitive or a undersensitive, your child is difficult to sit in the class. They cannot perform activities which we expect them to do at different levels. For any learning, child has to come in the arousal level. If oversensitive child, then they have to come down. If it's undersensitive, they have to come up. Learning only happens in the normal arousal level. As we can see from normal sensory system, then child develops body awareness. Bilateral coordination is very important for any activity. Proprioception should be working well. If you don't have your proprioceptive system working, body awareness will not be there. Auditory and visual discrimination, what teacher is saying and how to differentiate in alphabet is coming under all the perceptual skills. Lot of eye-hand coordination, teacher writing on the blackboard and student has to copy from the blackboard, requires intense amount of eye-hand coordination. Child has to move forward from level 1 to 2, 3 and then 4. Usually what happens, any teacher identifies a child when they cannot perform, and parents also come to us when they cannot perform at school at reading and writing. Friends, it is late. I request all the teachers, and the teachers are the ones who can make a difference. You can identify a child as early as 2.5 or 3.5. Children start going to school at nursery. Few of the sensory system, if it's any symptoms, if you feel your particular child in a classroom is not participating in activity, is sitting in the side corner, after a lunch break, if child is very uncomfortable, smell of different food makes child uncomfortable, child constantly wants to roam around, any of such symptoms, teacher, you can identify as an early intervention if we jointly could identify any child at the age of 3 or 4, and we make certain changes in the environment at home or at school, child and parents and teachers, everyone's life becomes much easier, and child can perform better, and it helps them to reach the level 4 of understanding. I think we can keep our question answer further, and this is what is my humble request for all the teachers to identify as early as possible. Now we are coming to our next segment. I can, before that, I'll see if any of this, yeah. So few of the teachers have been running around and disturbing in the class. Does hyperactive come under learning disability? Yeah. So we will discuss learning disability now. We have a very eminent speaker with us, Dr. Mihir Parikh. Is a special educator and child psychologist, was doctorate in learning disability. Mihir is a founder director of Urja Counseling and Remedial Center. He has written many articles and an author of the book Twits. Mihir is counselor at many schools and conducts workshops on parenting in various schools as well as colleges and corporates. I welcome Dr. Mihir Parikh for the understanding of learning disability. Mihir, stage is yours. Thank you. Mihir? Mihir in the audience, Mihir? Mihir?
Dr. Mihir, I already made you co-host. You can start your presentation. Dr. Mihir, you can unmute yourself and you have become co-host. You can start your presentation. Dr. Mihir.
All right, good evening, everyone. Ma'am, am I audible?
We can
All
hear
right.
you, Mihir.
Great. So, good evening, everyone, and hope you all are good. Namaste. And we are going to start with a session on understanding learning disabilities. So, before I begin, I would like to thank Dr. Mona Shah for inviting me for today's lecture and giving me this opportunity to be a part of this enrichment sessions. So, I believe many of the audience, I understand, are teachers. And according to me, I always feel that teachers are the first point of contact. And therefore, it's very important for all of you to understand what do you mean by learning disability. So when I go to a school for counseling, usually what happens is we visit classes and we ask the teachers that I believe this particular child needs help, and when the teacher conveys or tells the parent anything, so the parents usually do not accept it. So maybe going to a counselor will not be in the parents agenda, but definitely if the teacher is aware of what learning disability is, so very subtly over the period of time the teacher can rightly put it across to the parents and can ease in the struggle of the child, right? So before we begin, let us do one small activity. So I believe everybody is carrying a pen and paper with you, and those who are not carrying can at least make some notes in your notepad, mobile notepad. So the activity goes like this. I am giving you some instructions and you have to follow those instructions step by step. All right? So I want all of you to put your right hand on your head. Okay. Instruction number 2, put your hand down. All right. So touch your head with your right hand and touch your nose. Okay, now touch your head, touch your nose, and clap your hands. Okay, one more. Touch your ears, touch your nose, clap your hands, and close your eyes. Oh my God, I can see children, people are just stuck here or they are stuck here. Right. So this is one simple thing that I want you to empathize, which basically as teachers or parents, we unconsciously get into the process of giving so many instructions to the child at one go, and then the child fails to or just executes one or two instructions, and then the entire thing is lost. And then the mother will shout कि तुझे कुछ याद नहीं रहता है. This is a very common thing, right? Or the teachers will say that this particular student doesn't understand anything. So this is an empathy activity which I wanted all of you to understand. We'll do another activity. So you have a book with you, right? Or those who do not have a book in front of you, what you can do is, say supposing if you are a lefty, all right. So I want you to hold your pens with your non-dominant hand, which is your right hand, and write down something. So if you do not have a book, you can write in the air. All right. With your non-dominant hand. And what important thing is, you have to write in cursive handwriting. Okay. No writing in prints. All right. So here we go. Write letter C. Small c. Write letter B, B for ball, cursive B. Write small d, small cursive D. And last one, write the word, second last, write the word dad, cursive dad. Last word, write the word bed, sleeping bed, bed, cursive. Yes. All right. Thank you so much for doing this activity. Now, with your non-dominant hand when you were writing, so I could see that I could see a couple of things. So some were thinking how to write B, this side or this side. So that was one thing. The other children were, the other participants were thinking that my speed is somewhere going slow. I have to think and then I have to write. All right. And then I also put one condition across that you have to write in cursive, which is a very big condition. All right. So somewhere, even our children who are facing these kind of reading, writing issues, when these challenges come up, it is very important for the teacher to empathize. And that's one important takeaway for today, to empathize. Okay. I will quickly run my PPT I want to share, because we, can I request Mona ma'am to please enable the screen sharing, please?
Mir, you are a host. Go, you can share.
I am sorry, I am getting the message host disable attendee screening sharing. Okay, so these are the small technical things that we all will be facing. So let's move on. Ma'am, once you are done, you please let me know. All right. So today,
Mir,
what we
you are
are
done. Me, a co-host, you can
Okay.
share your screen. You can share your screen.
It's not happening.
No, it's not happening. I think I'm still getting error.
Still getting the same message.
Mir, hold on.
Yes, sir.
Mir, hold on. Mir, just hold on, please. Yes,
No problem. No problem.
You can continue. You can continue. I'll do that.
Okay, so the today's topic, which is learning disability, I believe most of us know because Amir Khan has done a wonderful job where he has actually shown the movie Tare Zameen Par, and most of us have understood. But tell me really, I mean, all the teachers who are working, that how much does it really, how much is it really helpful when we are actually dealing with children, because there are so many challenges that happens, and then what we usually face is that I don't have time for all this because this includes a lot of work. Is the screen visible?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
All right. So one of the important thing that you all see on the screen, that 1 in 5 kids are dyslexic, and 1 in 100 teachers might know what dyslexia is. Now I'm not talking about metropolis like Mumbai, Delhi. I'm talking about also places in India where I go for training and teachers do not know what learning disability is. So I thank Mona ma'am for doing this wonderful initiative to spread this knowledge across. And teachers, please make a note of what I'm telling you now. Learning disability has many names. So at times we call it as dyslexia. Okay. At times we call it as learning disability, and at times it is also called as SLD. SLD stands for specific learning disability. So tomorrow when you come across a child or a report, and in the report if it is mentioned that usko dyslexia hai or the child has SLD, so don't get confused, it all means the same. All right. So we have to understand that how it happens or what is the problem. So learning disability is an information processing disorder. Important to understand. Now, when I'm talking to you, we use our senses. So you are looking at me, you are listening to me. So what is happening is, like a computer, you are just giving inputs to your brain. All right. So the brain will take the input and it will process. After processing, there is some kind of an output. So if there is a problem either in the input or processing, the output is definitely going to be affected. And therefore, I am sure we have so many children, if we ask them that how many grams are there in 1 kilogram, and the child will say 100, and definitely he is going to get the wrong answer because he doesn't know that 1 kg is equal to 1000 grams. So 9 kg is equal to 9000 grams. These kind of simple application based things, this particular child will have difficulty because the input has somewhere gone wrong. So please make a note, the child's eyes are normal. He doesn't have specs. One, his hearing is normal. He doesn't wear a hearing aid. But even when he hears B for Bombay, the child will write D for Delhi. Okay, so which means that the input has gone correct, but the processing is at fault. So therefore, let us understand what do you mean by learning disability. As I mentioned, it is an information processing problem and it is a childhood disorder. So childhood disorder means what? A disorder which starts either from 0 to 18 years, or it is between 0 to 18 years. Difficulty in reading and writing doesn't mean that he has learning difficulty. Disorder, and when you say that the child has learning disability, important question, you only can say that the child has a learning after 8 years you actually label information processing problem. Number 2, childhood disorder, and that too, we during our consultation, we come across so many parents who say, I'll talk in Hindi. What they say, usko mobile de do, he knows everything, okay? But when it comes to reading and writing, तभी उसको problem आता है. He is good with orals, but when it comes to writing, about personalities like Einstein, who had genius intelligence but couldn't put things right on the paper because he had reading and writing difficulties, but no difficulties understanding. Right? So grasping is not a problem with a child with learning disability, and it is neurobiological in nature, which means somebody in the family has this problem and it is running in the families, that is biological. And neuro, which means, as we mentioned, that something wrong processing is happening in the brain. The fourth point is very important for all the teachers, especially, and even for the parents. I have underlined the word gap. So, gap between the expected skills based on age and intelligence and academic performance. I'll make it very simple. If the child is in fourth standard, the child cannot read the fourth standard textbook. He cannot write the spellings of fourth standard level. But if you go back, he's not even able to do it third standard level, second standard level bhi nahi. He will be functioning somewhere at senior KG or first standard level. So if the gap is more than 2 years, then we actually say that the child is at a risk of having learning disability. I'm saying risk because as teachers, we cannot label that the child has learning disability. We have to wait. Important, I actually got the word labeling. Now, labeling is very much injurious for children's emotional health because when children are labeled in the class, then the other children also make fun of these particular children. And then the child will actually start neglecting even going to school because as it is, academically, he's not performing that well. So this is learning disability, right? We will talk more about the symptoms and the types, but let us also talk about what is not LD, right? What is not LD? We've learned what is LD. I'm quickly revising. It's a childhood disorder. It is neurobiological in nature. There is a gap seen and there is difficulty with reading, writing, and information processing. But what is not LD? Low intelligence. So children below the IQ of 90, okay, we need to speculate here. We need to actually think this because children who are low and on intelligence can either be slow learners or they can be intellectually disabled, matlab ke mentally retarded children. All right, so mentally retarded children and slow learners are not LD. That's one. Number two, poor instruction. Now, if the teacher who is teaching something to the child and the teacher herself commits many spelling errors. For example, there's a very funny thing that I would like to share. I believe most of you must have also gone through that. So one Facebook video which says Nature is nature and future is future. Okay, so which means that the teacher is only teaching wrong. Instead of nature and future, she's saying nature and future. So if the child does these kind of errors and when the psychologist or any other specialist tests the child, this is also not LD because it is result of poor instruction. If the child gets a good tutor, automatically the problem will get solved. Third, lack of motivation. So if children who are poor on motivation, who needs motivation, cannot be labeled as learning disability. Fourth, emotional disturbance. So say for example, in school where the child is facing some kind of problem where the child doesn't like a teacher, okay, the teacher is constantly pinpointing the child, right? Then the teacher labels the child. Then the child has had some bad day at home. So when the emotional brain is more active than the thinking brain, so definitely the thinking brain activities will get affected. And therefore, children who are from impoverished backgrounds, where there are parent marital discord in parents or any other kind of difficulties, doesn't mean that the child has learning disability. Seeing and hearing problems. So if the child has specs, okay, so first it needs to be ruled out. So one of the important tests before we send the child for learning disability, so the child's vision and the child hearing both needs to be tested. If the child has vision issues, then he will be given specs to wear. After wearing specs, when the child's eyes become comfortable, and even after that the child continues to make the same error, then we can say that the child may have learning disabilities. That is one. Also, just for your reference teachers, or for your knowledge, primary school children suffer from middle ear infection that is called as otitis media. So middle ear infection. So at times what happens, because of this middle ear infection, there is uh, a temporary hearing loss, and the child misses out on a lot of information in the classroom. So even this cannot be LD. And lastly, illnesses. So any kind of illness that the child has, okay, adding to seeing also, at times children suffer from a condition called as lazy eye, amblyopia. So lazy eye also should be ruled out. So therefore in the school, the health checkup screening is extremely important. And illness. So if the child has had been ill for a very long time and then he's coming back to studies, so the child has actually missed a very important thing, important portion what he had to study, and therefore he couldn't perform. So even that is not LD. Okay, so teacher, before we label children, it's important that you understand the other factors also. Now, a question to you. You can type in your window. Is learning difficulty and learning disability same? Yes, we have an intelligent audience here. Yes, teachers, thank you so much. Learning disability and learning difficulty are not the same. You've guessed it correct. Let us understand. So, learning difficulties, right? Let's see what I have written. It can easily be corrected in some time after intensive intervention. So say supposing one child has not understood trigonometry, okay, and the child often commits errors. So the maths teacher will take an initiative of giving him some remedial classes, some stay back classes, and after that the child, after giving him coaching for some days, the child will absolutely be normal. Okay, every error, all the errors will go. As opposed to learning disabilities, which I mentioned, it is neurobiological and it cannot be corrected. So supposing if anybody tells you that, you send the child to me and I will, immediately मैं बच्चे को ठीक कर दूंगी. In case if anybody says that way, so that is a wrong statement, because learning disability is not a curable condition, it is a manageable condition. So with right intervention, which we will talk about, with right intervention at the right time, with proper consistency, it can easily be managed extremely well. All right. So this is the basic difference between learning difficulty and learning disability. So learning disability is throughout the life. I'll share you a nice example. Now, I just started practicing 2 days back after the lockdown, and I came across this child who has learning disability. So the child has a lot of coordination issues. Okay. So what happened? I have installed this sanitizer which you operate with the leg. Right. So this child had so much of coordination difficulties that he couldn't, if either he could press it with the leg or he could, get his hands forward in front of the sanitizer. So two things were not happening together. So these are some small challenges which can be faced throughout the life, right? But the reading, writing challenges can easily be controlled. Now, again, an important question is learning difficulty and learning disability and slow learning and intellectual disability same? I have already discussed. Quick feedback. So LD is learning disability, SL is slow learner, and ID is intellectual disability, which means mental retardation. Lovely audience. Yes, they are not same. And one thing that separates from everything from each other is IQ. Yes, so learning disability is normal and above average intelligence. Make a note. Slow learners, 70 to 89 is the IQ. 70 to 89. Slow learners. 70 to 89 is the IQ for slow learners, and intellectual disability is below 70. Right? So IQ is something that sets everything apart. Right. Next. Types of learning disabilities. Okay, so we have 3 kinds or 4 kinds. Dyslexia, which is, make a note, dyslexia matlab reading problems. So you will come across children who will often do a lot of guesswork. So they will say off and likha hoga for. Okay, the word will be what and actually the word will be with. So they do a lot of guesswork just looking at the first alphabet. That is one. Then they will take a lot of pause while reading. So pauses is also common. If you remember the class teacher in Tare Zameen Par movie, and the Ishan Avasthi is asked to stand, the boy who had learning disability, and then he says, teacher, letters naach rahe hai, the letters are dancing, right? So this is also a kind of learning disability, which we call it as dyslexia, which means the child with learning disability will face severe reading difficulties. So one important takeaway, teachers, please ensure if you are feeling that the child has this kind of concern, do not make the child stand up and read. So you are directly attacking their emotional brain. Okay. Yes, I will just come to the question and answers a little later, just 10 more minutes to go. Then we will have question and answers. Then second is dysgraphia. So dysgraphia is writing problems. Okay. So the child will commit a lot of spelling errors. There will be a lot of grammatical errors in writing. Okay. I will show you some samples also. Then we have dyscalculia. So dyscalculia is difficulties with maths, right? And fourth very important thing is called as pseudo learning disability. Okay, now I don't know from which part of the country you all are watching this, but I practice in a place where I come across so many children who are from lower mediocre background, and these children face a lot of difficulties reading and writing because they are not trained, they do not have right instructors. So when we test the child, it looks like learning disability, but it is not learning disability. If the child gets a right tutor, then automatically the problem gets solved. All right. So I'm repeating: dyslexia, reading problem; dysgraphia, writing problem. We will see one writing sample. Dyscalculia, maths problem. Pseudo learning disability, it can be corrected if you get a good teacher, because it is mainly because of the environment. Those who are watching this particular thing from mobile, you can actually pinch the screen and make it, and you can see that the girl with orange hair, right? See how letters appear to her. Just empathize with this child. How bad she must be feeling, and see what is the struggle that the child must be facing. Right? Now, this is a sample of a child with dysgraphia. So पहले जो image देखी, that was dyslexia, reading problem. This is dysgraphia. Can you all share some of your inputs in the chat box? What all errors do you see in this writing sample? Let's do this activity. So capital and small together, very, very good. Capital and small mix. Spacing is a problem. Then letter spacing, formations, spelling, capital spacing, yes. Dysgraphia has visuospatial concerns. Okay. It is copywriting. It is copywriting. Formation of spellings, confusion between B and D, reversals. Lovely. I think you guys are trained, yaar. Yes. So, so you've rightly pointed out the concerns what the writing sample indicates. So, teachers, it's very important that in case if you come across these kind of writing samples while you are checking your daily work, so this is how. So that is the reason I always say teachers are the first point of contact. They only immediately pick up the child who has any kind of learning problems. Okay. Then next is quickly we will read about dysgraphia, slow and labor intensive handwriting. They will say teacher बहुत हाथ दर्द कर रहा है, मम्मी my hand is paining. Handwriting that is too hard to read, so it's all messed up. At times the handwriting completely goes bizarre. You can't even identify what the child has written. Now we are falling short of time, but it could also be some emotional problem because the child gets into hiding his own work because of the emotional issues that the teacher is going to give me wrong. So the child will overwrite, the child will write the cursive writing in such a way that it looks all messed up. One important thing that, or a common thing that the teacher always say, the child and the parent always say that I am able to tell everything orally, but when it comes to writing, I cannot. So that is one important thing that you have to understand. Then written text that's poorly organized or hard to understand. Yes, so ambiguity is there, and trouble with spellings, grammar, punctuations. So all the full stops are gone. Okay, then at times capitalizations are used here and there. Grammar. So for example, if the child has to write Jack and Jill went up the hill, so the child will write Jack Jill went uphill. Okay, so what the child has missed? The child has missed conjunctions, prepositions, articles, which are all the important parts of the speech, which fetches marks. All right. So here the child has missed that. Now we talk about dyscalculia. So we've covered dyslexia, which is reading disorder, dysgraphia, which is writing problem, and dyscalculia. So understanding how numbers work and relate to each other. So this particular child, right from the small time. Okay, one important thing, pre-primary teachers and primary teachers, you can do a lot to identify child, to bring changes in the child. But when the child crosses fourth standard or fifth standard, then it is very difficult to get the change because the problem has actually worsened, unfortunately, because the parents have not got the right information at the right time. So A to Z is always a problem, some of the symptoms again. So this child will take a lot of time to write A to Z, learn A to Z. Numbers may, after numbers the child will know, but before number will always be a problem. Tables will always be head breaking. 100 times if the parent makes the child write the table, then too if you say how much is 7 5s are, and the child will start 7 1s are 7, 7 2s are 14, 7 3s are 15, 7 4, that way immediately the child will start. Okay, then calculating math problems or mental math will be trouble. So first standard, second standard, math is the favorite subject, but the moment word problem comes in and everything is gone, then maths is a villain, right? Then memorizing basic calculations. So how much is 5 plus 0? They will think. How much is 0 plus 5? Oh my God, what's that now? Okay, plus appears multiplication, minus appears division, etc., etc., right? And one important thing, you can actually make a note. It's called as subitizing. Subitizing matlab, say for example, if I show 5 fingers, so I do not have to count 1 2 3 4 5. My senses automatically understand that this is 5, this is 3, this is 1, this is 3, that way. Children with learning disability or especially dyscalculia will face a lot of trouble doing subitizing work. Samne jitna hai, then it's for example, if the mother says, get me some 7 glasses. It's okay if the child picks up 8 or 9 glasses, but at least the child has to gauge that measurement. So that's lacking. And application. So if I say 5 plus 5 is 10, 5,000 plus 5,000 is 10,000. All right. Then I ask the child, now tell me how much is 5 lakhs plus 5 lakhs. So the child will say that you have not taught me. So do you understand here? The child is failing to apply the concepts of 5 plus 5 and 5,000 plus 5,000. All right. So these are some difficulties that are faced. And lastly, what can be done? Okay. Teachers, it is important for you to understand that this is just an eye-opening session on learning disability to understand and get into the child's shoes of what does this mean. So intervention, no cure but manageable. So next time if somebody tells give me the child, मैं उसको ठीक कर दूंगी, so no, that's a wrong statement. We are only going to manage it beautifully. Remedial education, which means bridging the gap. So if the child is in 4th standard and the child doesn't know reading, writing of 1st or 2nd standard level, then he has to attend remedial classes where the gap is bridged. It is not a tuition class. It is a bridging the gap. Importantly, occupational therapy, the kind of activities that we did, writing in the air, cursive writing, which means that you are giving movements with your fingers, then 3, 4, one instruction, two instruction, three instruction. I guess we have a Mona ma'am who is constantly guiding you about different facets of occupational therapy. So a child with learning disability has difficulties with right, left, B, D, prepositions are a disaster. So occupational therapy really helps here because the body awareness is also developed. And there was one question that I saw in the chat box window. Is learning disability and hyperactivity same? So I have written the word ADHD. That's one of the comorbidity at times seen with learning disability. So ADHD, which means attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which means that the child has difficulties concentrating, sitting at one place for a longer period of time, and therefore at times with the doctor's opinion, they suggest medicines, and if along with the therapies, if the medicines are also taken, then it brings real good results. All right. So teachers, I hope you have actually understood what I have, I was trying to put across about just understanding learning disabilities. And now I'm really waiting for, okay, ADHD stands for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. All right. So thank you very much and shoot your questions.
Mihir, may I interrupt? Can you switch on your video? Your video
I
is
will.
off.
I will.
We can't
Just
see.
a moment, ma'am.
Yeah.
So I want to close it.
Yeah. So teachers, it was a wonderful explanation by Mihir. Before he starts answering, the takeaway message for teachers, be it a sensory problem, be it a learning disability, be empathetic to any child, to parents. We don't try and avoid giving labeling to any child. As Mihir rightly said, labeling really disappoints any child and peer pressure becomes so high. So take our message, be empathetic, be observant. You can identify a child's problem as early as 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4. Together, you, me, and Mihir, everybody has to identify a child before they really enters in the standard 1, standard first. We can help them, we can suggest sensory issues which can be tackled down. Then we can really start good occupational therapy and remedial education, and child can be taken care very well. Let us hear Mihir for further question answer. Yeah, Mihir?
Yes, ma'am. So I will pick.
I think Nishita, have you jot down any questions? Do you want to
Ma'am,
come?
there are multiple questions that I can see on the screen.
Yeah, but I think Nishita must have shortlisted few. Nishita,
Yes,
are you there?
yes.
Nishita, unmute yourself, Nishita. Nishita, you have to unmute.
Hello, yeah. Ma'am, I have listed all the questions.
Yeah.
So one of the questions asked by the parents are, my child answers orally very well, but in writing he has a problem.
Yeah, Mir, do you want to answer that question?
I wish to know the age of the child.
Seventh standard.
7th standard.
Yeah.
Yes, so I believe we actually have to get the child tested and screened for learning disability. Not necessary that the child has learning difficulty, but maybe the child would be, facing some kind of writing errors. So after going through the writing sample, seeing how much age appropriate task the child can do, we can then actually, take the decision ahead.
Okay. The second question asked by the parents teachers are: does LD have a lower IQ?
All right. So as I mentioned, that children with learning disability will not have low IQ. The IQ will be between 90 to 109 points. But that's beautifully pointed out, whoever has asked this. So in IQ, we have verbal IQ and performance IQ. So performance IQ is basically your common sense, and verbal IQ is your school learned information. So at times, or in most of the scenarios where we see where the verbal IQ is usually low as compared to the performance IQ, because that verbal IQ is all the information gathered from the school and the environment. So not so the general IQ will be good, but the verbal IQ can be low.
Okay. The third question asked is: how can we help slow learners? Can we
How
improve the
can we
life
help?
skills?
Yeah. So one of the important remedy, there people actually say that slow learners can be treated well, they can be managed well. But with my 12 years of experience in the field, what one thing that I always repeat over a period of time is slow learners have only one solution: repeat, repeat, and repeat. Okay, there is a beautiful science behind it, but if the repetition is done, so even till the last moment the child is writing the paper, if the child has books in his hand, slow learners have very good short term memory. So from the exam point of view, that last moment studies is really going to help. If the parents are struggling that they start a month before, that's not going to help, because that information will be lost over a period of time.
Okay. The last question is: how can we improve dysgraphia, dyscalculia? Which all activities we can do for them?
For dysgraphia and dyscalculia.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned, dysgraphia is is writing problem, and dyscalculia is math problem. So somewhere what we have to understand is identify that at what level the child is functioning. Once you get to know that where the child is functioning, based on that, those particular activities will be taken. Now, simple things, copying from the board could be one activity. Number two, auditorily, where the child listens and then the child writes. So which means that auditorily the information is processing and things are getting better. Then you can announce one word, two word, three word, and the child can circle those words. So one instruction, two instruction, three instructions wali jitni bhi game, if the parent can use, and this has to be more in the activity form and not in the study form. So one important website that I would like you to make a note, it's called as edhelper.com. Edhelper.com. Then OT activities for mom. These are beautiful activities and websites. I'm repeating, edhelper.com, then OT activities for mom. These are some good websites where a lot of information, activities, worksheets are given, and that's how you can actually improve your child's abilities. But my genuine request to all the parents is that just don't pick up things bizarrely. It's important that identify where the child is functioning, and then accordingly, once you get to know that where is he functioning, and then from there on you can start working with the child. Otherwise you will actually just run here and there.
Thank you.
Edhelper.com and OT OT mom activities, mom OT activities at home, some that kind of a website. Also, there was a repeated question about IQ. So IQ tests are formal. IQ testing can be done, especially when the child is about 10 years. So I'm saying about 10 years, the reason being you get good scores, because below 10 years children are very small, and you don't get a reliable score. So there are various IQ tests which are done. After the IQ test is done, if the psychologist feels that the child has reading writing difficulties also, then psychoeducational assessment, which means reading and writing assessments, are also done to identify that the child has learning difficulty or learning disability or slow learner or intellectual disability or visual perception issues.
There are a lot of questions. We can take few more. That way, it's 6
Thank
o'clock.
you.
It's time for close, but we can answer few more. One question by the time Mihir, you check on the chat box. There are lot many questions for you also. There's a one
Yes.
question somebody has asked. If child starts writing with the left hand, should we force them to write with the right hand? Parents, there is a sincere request. Let child decide it's his or her own dominance. Don't interfere with their dominance. It will damage their further course of action drastically. So right or left doesn't matter. Let child pick up their own dominance. Don't do that. Somebody has asked a question like, is ADHD can have a sensory integration problem? Sensory integration is an underlying thing. It can be with ADHD, it can be with learning disability, it can be with any other OCD syndrome, any other proper diagnostic criteria, can be with underlying sensory processing disorder, or it can be only sensory processing dysfunction, and child will not have any other disability or any other comorbidity. So once we evaluate, then only we can come to a conclusion. And parents and teachers, once again, there cannot be a single answer for any of the problem. It needs to be observed, it needs to be evaluated with an expert. But to start off with, observe your child, talk to parents. Parents and teacher have an open discussion about your child before you label any child. Mir, all yours. You can go.
Yes, and there's a very nice, interesting question somebody has asked, that if the child has intellectual disability, can he continue in a normal school? So, again, as I mentioned, intellectual disability has various ranges. If you feel that, the child is not able to cope up, so please don't bother the child to be in a normal school. Usually parents have this thing that normal school mein jayega, so he will learn right behaviors. If he goes to a special school, then he will pick up wrong behaviors. So at least when he goes to a special school, he is learning a lot of things from his according to his own learning style. And if you actually want that normal society behavior, after the school hours you can send the child for so many activity classes among normal children, and the child can actually pick up those normal behaviors. So I would say, from the academic point of view, don't bother the child to send to a normal school if the child is not coping up. LD is not another answer. LD is not, it is a permanent condition and not a temporary condition. As I mentioned, it is not curable but beautifully manageable.
So, May, what should we close it? Remaining questions we can uh, answer through email. If there are some questions, Mir, you can share your email ID on chat box. They can even ask further question on his email. Friends, it was a great session. I can see that to take away words for you: empathize children. One more thing I want to add is accept whatever the problem your child is facing. None of us are 100% fine. Maybe we may have faced some kind of sensory problem, but when it comes in a way of our academics, we need to check, we need to target, and we need to help our children, our parents and teachers. You are the best one who can identify our children at as early as possible. Nishita, over to you for a vote of thanks.
Uh, Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful explanation. I would like
Thank you
to
so much.
thank you on behalf of Anshu team for helping and guiding us with so much information. Thank you, Mona ma'am, for continuous guidance in all our events, which help parents and teachers to understand the child better. Thank you all attendees for coming up, sparing your time and joining us here. And I think we all spent a wonderful 1 hour with maximum information. We also upload our session on YouTube. So if anyone has missed or wish to see again, you can surely go on to the YouTube and watch. Thank you, everybody. Looking forward to see you more often. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Mona. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Meher. Thank you.